Let's go on now to the next piece, which is something I'm sure most of you will recognize. It's an old English folk song called Greensleeves. I've taken the melody and arranged it in the bass, and it covers the last three strings that we've introduced, and it uses some chromatics, dotted notes. So it's a bit of a review of what we've covered. One new concept, however, which is that of the pickup note. If you'll notice, right at the beginning, before the first bar, right after the time signature, we have a quarter note. Now, this is what's called a pickup note. The reason for that is that this particular piece doesn't begin on a downbeat. It begins on what's called an upbeat. The first beat is the downbeat. So it's got a feeling of 1, 2, 3, 1. So we start this piece on 3. So if we were counting it, we would go 1, 2, 3, 1. And we would play on 3 and 1. You'll notice in the last bar, there's only 2 beats in it. And you say, well, it's in 3/4, it should have 3 beats. But in this case, it's making up for that initial beat at the beginning. So the pickup beat plus the 2 at the end makes 3. So the piece in its entirety works out fine. So when you're counting that, remember to start on 3. 1, 2, first note, 3, 1. Okay, let's play through it now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So be careful with the dotted notes, the dotted quarter notes. So remember, they get 1.5 beats. So the second note would come after your second beat on the and. 1 and 2 and 3. Let's play it once again. 1, 2, 3, 1. Make sure on that G sharp that you use your 4th finger. Don't be scared to use that finger and just use your 3rd finger and leap around. Again, by using your 4th finger, you don't have to move your hand. Your hand can stay in position and you simply reach with your 4th finger rather than jumping around by only using your 3 fingers. And the more you use it, the stronger it'll get and the quicker it'll feel comfortable. And you'll have 4 fingers equally at your disposal rather than only 3. The next piece, ostinato, introduces playing 3 notes simultaneously. Now, up to this point, we've played 2 notes simultaneously, and now we're going to increase that and play 3. You could probably begin to practice that basically in the same way as you did with the 2 notes, by playing the thumb separate, then the 2 notes, and then tightening that up, playing them separately, quicker and quicker, until eventually they become 1. However, you might even want to begin even before that, and first of all, just practice your 2 fingers together. That's usually very difficult to get the 2 notes sounding simultaneously. There always tends to be a bit of a trump, trump, rather than just bomb. For instance, when I play these 2 notes at the beginning, G and B, usually it sounds like this, rather than So you should take a few minutes and make an exercise on your own, just playing 2 notes with I and M, and then you could also play 2 notes with M and I, which is even a bit more difficult. In fact, that's an important point that I'd like to mention, that when you find that you have any difficulty, rather than just playing through the entire piece over and over again, isolate the difficulty. Find the particular bar or the particular 2 or 3 notes, isolate that, and work on that separately. The reason for that is that it concentrates your practice. Now, if you have trouble with one particular bar in a 30-bar piece, if you practice that, if you want to perfect that one bar, it seems a bit of a waste to play all the other 29 bars over and over again, because then in 10 minutes, you may only play that one bar 5 times, where if you spent 10 minutes on that one bar, you might do it 50 times. And thus your practice is much more focused on the difficulties and the problems that you have. In fact, I'll go through this piece, and I'll show you ways that you can do that, how you can start taking a piece apart, finding out where the difficulties are, isolating them, and then making exercises, expanding on those particular difficulties and playing them in different situations. So as I said, we're going to be working on 3-note chords. So first of all, you have to play the 2 notes in your fingers correctly. So you play G and B. Just play them very slowly and listen very carefully. It's very important to listen because sometimes it's so quick, the out of syncness, that we miss it. It might be sometimes so quick that if we're not listening very carefully, we don't even know it's there. So 2 notes together, and then with M and A. Then you might want to try, for instance, alternating, going I and M, M and A, I and M, M and A. Then you could go further and perhaps add a rhythm to it, like then you could combine the 2 exercises and go like this. So you see how we've taken a simple little concept, playing 2 notes together, and we start to expand on that by playing it on different strings, by adding a rhythmic element to it, and then changing that rhythmic element. Then you could do things like playing certain notes in the left hand, for instance, again, which adds a further difficulty. So as far as that first 1 beat is concerned, you might start like that, just open string, G and B, and alternating maybe with B and E, then adding a bit of a rhythmic idea to it. Now the next step then is introducing the thumb. So now if you've mastered the I and M finger, for instance, we could do what we did with the 2-note chords. Thumb, fingers, thumb, fingers. First separate, and then together. So we might go like this. And then tighten up that gap. Pretty soon it comes together and you're playing all 3 simultaneously. Notice my hand. There's not really any motion in the hand. There's none of that. Again, it's just as if you're playing 1 note, in this case 2 notes, and the thumb. So you should have a feeling that you're not doing anything different than playing 3 individual notes, except they happen to fall all at the same time. So be very careful that you're not doing that there's no arm or wrist motion at all. It's quite a common problem. So this part of the hand doesn't move.